My sister-like cousin is making mean comments about my partner, showing disrespect, and creating uncomfortable situations at family gatherings. Is this jealousy? Should I cut contact with her? Okay, wait. I 30F know how this sounds, but just hear me out. For background, my maternal life giver and her two siblings had a total of 7 kids from the late 80s to the mid-90s. I'm the youngest, and my cousin, 31F, is in the birth order directly before me. We were raised together on our grandparents' massive farm, and were always closer to one another than to our own brothers. After experiencing a significant trauma together in our early pubescence, we became closer like sisters, but we were split up, and she moved across the country. We still talked regularly and tried to hang out as often as we could given our circumstances. She returned to our hometown, where I no longer lived, in late high school and got pregnant at 17. She chose her baby daddy over me, and we didn't speak for a year. I was 17 and made a yo mama joke to him, a 20-year-old whose mother was, unbeknownst to me, actually a real hoe. We were close again like usual after that, until she joined the military in our mid-20s and got with her second baby daddy. I moved in with her to be her nanny, and they took every effort to make the house as carelessly nasty as possible, spilled soda and sticky foods, but made no effort to pick any of it up, ashed their cigarettes directly on furniture and the floor, etc., and then used my inability to keep their messes clean as a reason not to pay me, while in the same breath inviting me to watch a show I wasn't interested in with them, just so they could try to get as far into intercourse as possible on the couch next to me before I realized. It was an awful time, and I hit my breaking point when they made me, a la Cinderella, you can't go to the ball until your chores are done. Stay up until 2 a.m. cleaning the house the morning of the first day of our weekend vacation. Then when I had to wake them all up, not just my nephew, to get ready to go at 4 a.m., they made me drive BC. They were too tired from staying up in their room and fucking around until midnight. I agreed, but apparently with too much attitude, and she screamed at me that I was useless and didn't contribute anything worth letting me have an attitude like that. I left, and we didn't speak for almost 2 years until my wedding, when I was pressured to not only let her attend, but be in the bridal party of. She was in a shitty mood the whole day, refused to get ready in the same room as us, and just in general was sulky. Throughout our childhood, despite being incredibly close, we fought like cats and dogs at times. As adults, we've realized it's generational curses manifesting in our exchanges, and we vowed to work on them together. We both got on meds and in therapy, and she helped me get the will to leave my emotionally abusive husband after a couple years. But then she got off her meds and got out of therapy. And when we inevitably butt heads, we're both just so opinionated. She resorts back to really toxic tactics to win or control our arguments. Stuff our parents and grandparents did to us. About this time every year she picks a fight. She says something while we're texting or on the phone, or she'll comment something on a post of mine that she knows is going to trigger a fight. We have a no politics rule, but she still comments on stuff I post with political responses to get a rise out of me, and like a fool I take the bait every time. After our scheduled falling out last winter, she said that if we had any more falling outs like that, we wouldn't be getting back together. We'd quit being friends. This sounds extra dramatic until you learn that she's cut off contact with a few family members, and I had, at the time, gone mostly no contact with all of them except her. So cutting the toxicity out is something we've both come to accept as necessary. I agreed. Fast forward to this year. I got a BF in June who I got incredibly close with pretty fast, and we had moved in together by the end of August. The three of us had a 3-way phone call together in which she and I kind of dominated the convo, and he chimed in occasionally. They met in person for the first time for my BF's welcome home party. We were long distance, and he moved here with me, and she was quiet for most of the party, but she seemed normal otherwise cause she's shyer in bigger groups. Then we went to her place for my eldest nephew's birthday a couple weeks later, and that seemed fine too. But then before Thanksgiving she started making jokes about how when we would come down for the holiday, we lived 2 hours away. I could sleep in the only bed with her, but my BF was gonna have to sleep outside. I laughed it off the first couple times as jokes cause that's kinda how our family teases each other, but after a while I was like, no. If that's how you feel, then we can stay with someone else for the holiday. She brushed it off as a joke and quit saying it. But at Thanksgiving she smoked weed. It's legal here. Knowing it makes her sad and emotionally clingy while her kids were still awake. Which meant that I had to take care of her emotionally while my BF took care of her 12-year-old. He's starting to push back against authority figures, especially men. And her 5-year-old, he's nonverbal with autism. It went horribly for him. It caused stress between me and my BF, who felt like I picked my sister who had manipulated the situation so that she could have me alone over his sense of comfortability around new people and a stranger's kids. And I definitely saw what he was saying. The next day we were hosting Smokesgiving back at our place, a weed potluck for our stoner friends. My sister was invited BC. I generally like hanging with her, but she said she wasn't gonna smoke. She was just gonna drink. Not a big deal. Whatever makes her feel included. Except every time we sparked up, she made a big show of covering her mouth and nose, or coughing loudly while we were talking, and would even step out to smoke a cigarette instead. Then she faked, choking, which resulted in a soda can exploding all over my living room, walls, ceiling, bookshelves and books. The card game I handmade we were in the middle of playing, me and 3/4 of our guests, the floor and every other piece of furniture in the room, as well as pictures and posters on the wall, and got so drunk she had to go into the other room and lay down in the middle of the party. And when she started puking, my BF got her water and painkillers and a puke bucket cause she refused to leave my bedroom to go to the bathroom. Why? Because I can't. I like this spot in your floor. He even EMPDIED, cleaned, and returned the puke bucket to her BC. At that point I was irritated and decided she could figure her own shit out if she was gonna be immature. She sobered up after puking a couple times, but not completely, and she interrupted a timed game we were playing that couldn't be paused to crawl in my lap and make me order her Taco Bell. She got pissed when I told her to wait until my turn was done, and then I had to miss the rest of the game to help her. Everyone was embarrassed by her behavior, not just me and my BF. Then when everyone left and we were getting ready to go to bed, I had to work the next morning at 7 a.m. She kept insisting that my BF could sleep on the floor, which he and I had both done at her place the night before and got like no sleep. I told her no. I helped her make a pallet in the floor. We don't own a couch, which is more than she did for us, and I told her that she embarrassed me and super mistreated my BF. She was also telling him to shut up after everything he said the entire day. The next morning she drove home when I was going to work. At Christmas, she kept trying to get me to ditch him in one room or another to go hang out with just her and leave him with our family, who I hadn't gone completely no contact with at this point. I had just been incredibly distant for a hot minute. She constantly interrupted us talking, and even if he wasn't in the room, she made a big show of only ever sitting in spots I couldn't sit next to her and then claiming I was avoiding her. She pulled me out of a very emotionally intense conversation him and I were having cuz setting up Santa presents with her brother, and his wife wasn't going as fun as she wanted. I told her I didn't want to talk about that then. I wanted to finish my convo with my BF because it was serious, and she ignored me. Then returned to finish presents and came back just to tell me the exact same story. So it 100% could have waited. So it's February now, and she's decided her newest side hustle. She refuses to get a job. She lives off VA disability, and whatever money her mom and rich stepdad give her for odd jobs is to dip fake roses in glitter and make bouquets for Valentine's Day. She posted about them on her Snap story, and I asked if I could screenshot it and send it to my BF. We're too broke to buy them, but it's as close to showing support as I can do right now for this project. She then got upset with me and said she'd already messaged my BF to ask him if he wanted to buy a bouquet for me for Valentine's Day. Except he doesn't have social media on his phone, and she only messaged him on Facebook Messenger. Despite having his number, she said she was upset. BC, she keeps coming up with these ideas of sweet things for me, and I'm giving him all the credit. She cited a gift they went halfsies on for me at Christmas as the first and only other time. She said she handed me the present and I thanked him first. I told her that was not true. I thanked her when she handed me the present before I even knew he'd gone in half on it. She said it wasn't a real thank you. It was a fake "I've just been handed a present and I don't know if I like it, thanks." Which may be true, but I'm autistic and I can't tell the difference. And she knows that. But I didn't find out I had ADHD until a few years ago. So she's used to me masking and fawning super hard, and when I got my diagnosis it really seemed to piss her off. She treats all my symptoms like excuses. I told her multiple times through this conversation as it evolved in voice messages over Snap that I felt like she was attacking me. BC, her tone was harsh. I reminded her how we agreed to remind each other that when we get too heated in an argument, she talks to me like her dad talks to her, and I talk to her like my maternal life giver talks to me. It's unhealthy. She ignored me. She said, "TBH, I haven't even listened to all of your messages," then continued to berate me. I told her that if she wasn't going to listen to my messages, then I wasn't going to have this convo with her. BC, I wasn't being allowed to take an active part in it. She said I was the one making it a big thing. I begged her to take a second before she responded to me or had anything else to say. BC, we agreed to try to be healthier with each other and help one another grow through our family-ingrained negative behaviors. She sent me a voice message mocking what I said in a whiny and high-pitched voice. I told her she was being immature and I wouldn't be opening, reading, listening, or watching any other message she sent me until she could call me and apologize genuinely in a live convo. She sent me a voice message in response, and I still haven't opened it. Few face with open mouth, dashing away. That's mostly the gist of it. Anyways, I'm pretty sure I'm done with everyone I have blood ties to. For some reason, they just all seem to like soaking in toxicity.